Thanks for coming, everyone. My name is Mark Fromson. I'm the founder of the Vancouver Digital Project Managers Meetup Group, and this is my co-host, Rachel Gertz.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you.
I founded this event about 10 years ago. If we can go to the next slide, I'll give you a few little stats on the event. So, founded in 2014. Right now, we're at about 2,200 members, and we hold meetup events every year, just educational topics usually, some bar nights, social nights, and really we just wanted to try to get our cohort together. So back when we started it, this was just becoming a term, like an actual career, Vancouver Digital Project Manager. And so I just typed it into Meetup and it was available, so I got it. And 3 people showed up the first time, and I bought them some appetizers and drinks, and then it kind of went from there. So Rachel, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself as well?
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so I'm Rachel Gertz. I'm co-founder at Louder Than 10, which is a training company for project managers in digital. But as a co-host of the meetup, after Mark, I think you took it on for several years, and you're like, "Hey, Rach, do you want to go with this?" So I think I ran it for another 7 years, and we tried all kinds of fun events. We did like game storming workshops, and we had like really fun guest speakers. My favorite event was when we had a face-off between engineers, like developers, and project managers. And we actually had them scripting like different ways to talk about like who's going to win this argument. It was great. You should have been there. So if anyone wants fun events like that, let me know. We'll do that again. But is there anything else that?
Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So we've got a Slack group, and anybody's welcome to join the Slack group. So we've got a QR code up here. If anybody wants to take a picture, you can. All right. Next slide, please, Mike. Ready? Yeah, this one's yours.
So we just want to make sure everyone feels super welcome, and we have a code of conduct here at the Van City DPM meetup. We just want to make sure that folks, no matter where you're from, what you're about, what your history is, that you feel welcome and supported. So if anybody has any questions or feels like they want to feel safer, we have volunteers. If our volunteers could actually put their hands up, please. Okay, thank you so much. So just say your name. Laura. And? Mike. Laura and Mike will help you out. So you can go directly for them. Let's be safe. Let's take care of one another in here. All right?
Yeah. All right, so we're going to have our event until about 7 o'clock, and we're going to take a lot of audience questions as well. And then we've got the after party that goes all the way till 10. And away we go. So, Rach, you can have a seat. I'm not sure where that music's coming from, but it's not my phone. Hopefully it'll be okay. All right, we're going to start things off by having our panel participants just give a quick elevator pitch about their company and also what they think they'd be doing if they weren't agency leaders.
Hello. Darian Kovacs, Jelly, digital marketing and PR. Sometimes people think we make jelly for a living, which I just go with it. And so I would either be making jelly or planting dahlia flowers, which if there's any dahlia flowers in the house, yeah, okay. It's kind of a thing. You plant these tubers and then they grow and they're like fireworks. And then at the end of the season, you can like take the tubers apart and trade them with people. And it's the coolest piece. It's like Pokemon trading, but for like senior citizens and somehow myself. So I would be into like that dahlia growing.
Cool.
I'm going to look into that. JP Haleka, I'm the CEO and founder of PowerShifter Digital. We focus on digital products and services, content management systems, a lot of headless products, and when we go from service design all the way through to final delivery and development. And if I wasn't doing this, I would probably be doing the hobby that I picked up during COVID, not making bread, I was doing that before, but making wallets. I'm now a leather crafter and know how to make knives that I learned from watching 7 seasons of Forged in Fire. I have a mini forge that my wife bought me, and I make occasional knives. And I
You got a knife?
no, but I got a wallet. I make wallets, and yeah, you bet. There you go. Oh, and my wife last year bought a candle company called Salt Spring Candles, so I'm helping her a little bit on the side. Very little, very little. She's got most of it covered.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Wilkinson. I'm the managing director of Steam Clock Software. So at Steam Clock, we made great. Wait, what do we do? We make mobile apps for growing tech companies. We've been in operation for about 14 years. This is actually fairly new for me. I became managing director like 3 weeks ago, so I'm excited to be up here with everyone who's been, who's deserved to be up here for a lot longer. Let's see. If I was not leading an agency, what would I do? I would like to run a diner, like breakfast and burgers, things like that. I have no connection to the diner world whatsoever. I just really like diners, and I think it would be a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Jose Hernandez. I'm the CEO at TTT Studios. We're a digital consulting and custom software development company. We provide end-to-end services to our clients from ideation, design, development, and deployment. Right now, our focus is more on enterprise-level customers or large implementations, typically B2B, and just large backends, large frontends. What I would do is probably I would be a diplomat. I would love to be a diplomat. I don't know, maybe in my past life, I am a lawyer, so maybe that helps, but yeah, that would be my thing.
So sophisticated. I haven't been here on stage for 7 years, so I don't know if that's because you couldn't find somebody else for tonight, or if you thought I would learn something over the last 7 years to share tonight. So I'll do my best. My name is Pete Smythe. I'm the CEO of Iamoda. And Iamoda, we're positioned as a top, not the top, but a top. Our goal is to be the top, but a top boutique Shopify Plus design and development agency partner. So our focus is to help large merchants succeed on Shopify Plus. So good examples, helping Dollar Shave Club migrate from a custom platform last year onto Shopify Plus. More recently, we just helped Kit and Ace with a retheme to basically enhance what they've been doing with Plus. And then, we also help merchants on an ongoing basis. So local merchants like Doer, but also Blundstone Canada and so forth on an ongoing basis. So we've got a retainer part of our business as well. A couple of data points for you. We're 20 years old as an agency. That's the gray hair. We got pulled into e-commerce about 10 years ago by Vega. Everybody would know that brand here locally. We worked with them for several years. They got bought and sold a couple of times. They came back to us. And that really got us on the e-commerce path. And then we were stretched across a number of different platforms, and we decided to focus on Plus. That is Shopify Plus. 6 years ago, became an official partner. So we're pure play Shopify Plus. We've helped over 50 merchants, and we're super proud of the work that our team has done. We've got a distributed team now, remote team across Canada. We shut down our office in Yaletown during the pandemic, and so that we can talk about that a little bit today as well. So yeah, super happy to be here. Hope we can add some value. Oh yeah, what am I going to be doing? Okay, it's got to be on the water. Everybody that knows me, I love boating, love being on the water. It's either that and or being a writer. Maybe I could write about being on the water.
You could write. Not as good as being on the water, though.
Yeah, on the water. I could write
Yeah,
while on the water.
while on the water. I like that. Yeah, I love it. Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Smith. I'm the CEO of Massive Media. The agency's around 12 years old. We are a full-service agency based out of Vancouver, although we service clients internationally all over the world. We don't specialize in any specific industry. We work with everything from large government organizations. Just finished a website for NYU, and we also work with small, scrappy startups. Have a team of 20 people based out of Vancouver, BC, with satellite offices in Toronto and New York. And what would I be doing if I started off in the tech industry, and I absolutely love startup world. I would probably be doing a product startup of some sort, or getting into mergers and acquisitions. I have a fascination with that. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks so much. All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, so before we put these fine folks on the stand tonight, let's give them a big round of applause for being here. Right? Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna get things rolling. We're gonna start with Lindsay, but to be fair, not everybody has to answer every question, okay? So we'll kind of like, whoever wants to pick up the question, you can take it, and we'll move through. And I'm gonna start with a super light question. You'll be so excited about it. Okay, so we know that we have survived a pandemic. We have survived, well, we're surviving inflation. We've got massive conflict going on around the world. People are so burnt out, right? Globally, we're talking about burnout. At the same time, there's this kind of concept of like bringing your whole self to work. And it's been a huge consideration, right? Kind of related to all these factors. So my question is, how does your agency support its staff? And what is your take on the idea that it's our responsibility to protect the mental health of our workers, especially because layoffs and restructuring can actually make these issues worse if they happen? Does anyone want to take, and you don't have to go on.
That's a hard one.
At PowerShifter, I think probably in 2013 when I had my first business coach, when we got to a certain size and I realized I didn't know what to do next. I ran out of all ideas, and someone said you should hire a business coach to get you to the next level. And in that process, he showed me, purpose-driven organizations, having values and culture and whatnot. So we invested a lot of time and a lot of money over many years and being very consistent in making sure that we had a healthy culture. It's a really, sometimes it's hard to define it, what culture is. What it is a lot of hard work by the entire company to be relentlessly focused on what it is that you believe in, your purpose, and the culture that you want within the organization. And you have to be unwavering. And I think in just that one, not small, but in doing that, the net benefit is a lot of the things in which you're talking about. You naturally are, people feel more supported. They've got a high level of trust in our organization. So I think that investment and being relentlessly dedicated to it, not just from the top, like the entire company thinks about it and acts on it. And I think that is what we've invested in to, not specifically for the times that we're in, but I think the net benefit is positive. That helps with that. And then and we did a lot of things during COVID. We gave unlimited mental health, remote mental health coverage, unlimited that anybody, we upped a bunch of things like that. Had a lot of conversations around it. So we're very neurodivergent and very open, transparent about ADHD and my dyslexia within the organization. So you'd be amazed at the conversations that we have in our small groups. We're work from anywhere, but I sit in some of these, like the design team settings, and they're talking about stuff that happened to them in high school that are traumatic, that I'm like, what are we're talking about this at work? But that's the level of trust in one another and safety. And I think that's an important one. I mean, Mark, you participate, you see it too, right?
Yeah. I work for him. Just to get that out of the way. So I'm not allowed to ask him any of the tough questions, so that goes to Rachel. I do kind of work for everyone.
This is a shout out to all the agency owners who showed up tonight. Dennis, I see you there. Luke flew in from Bali for this. Where is Luke in the house? Where'd he go? Okay. Oh, somebody's in the bathroom, or he's like exploring. By the way, there's all sorts of wild things you can explore, by the way. You probably shouldn't, but you could. But Luke, we all as agencies go through ebbs and flows and highs and lows and valleys, and I could sing about it, but I won't. Maybe Kathleen will sing you a song later. But when we had to let 2 of our staff go, like right away, we were able to post it in the Slack channel, and right away Luke was like, hey, I need an account manager. This is perfect. Just a great example of just the community we have in Vancouver, where like when you do have to say bye to someone, there's someone really awesome who is like, Luke was like, we will receive her and let us know how to best support her. What has she been working on? And it was like a really beautiful thing. And then Lindsay, when Annabelle went to your agency from ours, and it wasn't, no, don't apologize. It was like, the coolest thing was that we could actually talk and be like, Annabelle's amazing and she's incredible and she's going to do so well. And she's like onwards and upwards to like Vancouver and working at a shop that can like take her to that next level that we couldn't take her to. So it's like, that's what's so neat about the Vancouver community, where you can like actually put people first and look after each other, even as owners who like should be competitors, but really it's like, hey, let's have each other's back here.
Darian, before you pass the mic, can you just introduce that Slack group for agency owners? It might be just timely in terms of.
It's a Slack group that Lindsay's in, and I think I don't know if are you even in it, Lindsay?
I am. Just Renee does all the talking.
Renee does all the talking.
What's the name of that?
Actually, Connor's here. Connor, actually,
Slack.
one of the things I miss about our in-person, Connor would actually be like, one thing that I gotta attribute to Connor, he would get super vulnerable at these lunches and be like, hey, we're really struggling with this. And then Miles would be like, we're also struggling with this over here. And it'd be like, all of a sudden, all these smaller shops and regular shops or bigger shops would be like, well, we're also struggling with this. And then we made a Slack channel where that doesn't really happen, but people ask other things, and maybe it's happening privately, and there's private struggles amongst us, but it's just a place to have your struggles and needs and hopes and dreams shared. I don't know.
We do like background checks on
Yeah,
employees and
yeah.
all sorts of.
Yeah, and
like,
watch out for this client. Remember that? There's
Yeah.
a channel of
The
just
bad
like,
client
watch out for
channel.
these guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going in there. It's great.
Love? Has love happened in there yet?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, love. I don't know. Has
Only in
anyone
DM.
fallen? What's that?
Only in the DMs.
In the DMs. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. All right, thanks so much. I'm gonna shift it a little bit. So when we first did this particular summit, what we were really trying to get at was, let's ask the leaders how things have shifted for digital agencies this year. Like in terms of like the zeitgeist, like if someone was asking you like, what's different this year about running your agency, about the types of clients, about the things that they're asking about the challenges that you have, what is running a digital agency in 2024? Anyone?
I mean, all in all, I don't think there's a lot of things being very different. Obviously, everybody's talking about AI and asking about AI implementations per se. And there's things that you can do internally and externally for those types of things. But I wouldn't say there is a drastic change. For us, I mean, as a custom software company, what we're doing with AI specifically is we provide it as a service, so we help our clients utilize these tools. But internally, we're seeing more and more the adoptions in different areas. People think that this is going to be a common thing for developers, et cetera. But we're also seeing implementations in our PM processes or in our design processes, and it really goes across the board. So what I see happening in a short period of time is that you're going to gain a lot of efficiencies, and you're going to be able to tackle more projects with the same amount of people, I would say, in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, so from our perspective in the Shopify Plus space specifically, we're seeing two things that have really changed this year. One is consolidation. So you're finding that, in the Canadian marketplace, Half Helix and Tomorrow came together under a new banner called Domain. Previous to that, there were a bunch of US agencies that got rolled up. Zaner and BVA became part of Stable, became part of Accenture, and so forth. So what's happening is that there are bigger players out there. So it's a big impact. So that's why I actually focused on, our positioning in terms of boutique, because these guys are going out there and saying, we're the biggest. So hire us. We're saying hire the best, and we're the best. So that's one thing. But within that, I shouldn't say it that way because we want to be the best. We're not the best yet. The other piece is making a bet on a tech stack. So I think that's and proving and having the proof points, in terms of the portfolio, the processes that go with that. In our case, being Shopify Plus, saying no to all other platforms versus being scattered across and being too broad. Kind of the classic mile wide, inch deep. And so we're seeing more and more and more of that in terms of focus and expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just have one thing to add. One thing that we're seeing is a lot of changeover on the brand side and our client side. Previous to previous years, we would see these teams that had lots and lots of reps together. So when you partner with them and you're producing a project and there's an outcome, you have a better chance of producing a great outcome when the partners are really strong. And what we're seeing is because there's been so much changeover in the job market, that has been a challenge for the client side and as well for our teams on the agency side. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but we've seen a lot of it in the larger organizations.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Jose said. Year over year, probably our business is being run fundamentally the same way as it was a year ago. Like, it's really easy to get swept up by all the AI hype that, like, if you're not using it right now, you're way behind and just, like, quit now. In our case, that has not been the situation. So we focus very specifically on mobile development, and so the tooling is a little bit different there. It's probably not as well developed, like Apple is behind in terms of AI. So, like, it's not developed, it's not incorporated into Xcode and things like that, as it would be, say, for web development or other kinds of development. But having said that, I'm optimistic also about the future, that there's going to be a kind of this killer app moment. Like, the way I think about it is, like, what was revolutionary was like Slack, like instant messaging at work was revolutionary, or like cheap and high quality video calls was revolutionary. I don't really feel like AI has had that thing yet, and maybe that won't be. Maybe it's going to be like a bunch of little efficiencies kind of spread all over the place. But at least for me and our business and what we do, we haven't seen that kind of that moment where, like, it clicks and, like, oh yeah, this is, everything is different now, and if you're not using it, you're way behind.
Is anyone on the panel concerned about their staff kind of going a little rogue using AI on your client engagements? And does anyone have a client confidentiality policy in regards to AI?
We've been working on a formal way of looking at AI, how we use it internally. We're also building it out for clients. Love to talk more, but can't. The NDAs for our clients are pretty tight. But we have started to put wording into our MSAs, how we will use it. We've done an audit, and any tools that the team uses, we need to have those put in, and then we analyze the terms of service and see if how the data is going to be used. And so we're definitely taking a more formal approach. Actually, I've just created today a list for agencies to checklist to start to go through this for their own operationalizing it and whatnot. So I'll share that with Mark when I'm done. But yeah, it's a twofold thing. How can we use it as a force multiplier internally, and then how can we assess what type of AI, and mostly generative, let's put it out there, generative AI for clients in the products and services. When they knock on the door, do they really need it? Is that really the solution? And then how do we position ourselves in the marketplace? There's not a lot of AI talk on our website because we're taking it a little bit more of a, when we're working busy behind the scenes, and then when we're ready, we'll start to talk about it. But we've spent the last year in assessment and test mode.
JP, before you move on, I saw a recent talk where you were discussing, like, how much time you save with using AI. Can you, like, share just a rough percent, like how much time do you think your projects are saving with it right now?
I don't know that it's, the way I like to tell the team is it's not necessarily about saving overall time, because I don't want clients coming in and saying, well, you're using AI instead of a week, and we want it done in 2 days. The way I look at it is that AI is it's just code. It's just sitting there. It's been tuned, but it has no desire, it has no dreams, it has no, history, but it needs the spark. It needs the human creativity, the desire, the wanting to solve problems, to then use this force multiplier to chase down more ideas, to do things quicker, and then have the yes and, which is the human afterwards, and not just as a QA check. So take an example. If a design project takes, part of the project took five business days to do, and 3 or 4 of those days was a lot of grunt work, and the real good work that you want to be doing, where you're adding a lot of value, happens on the Thursday to present on a Friday afternoon. Instead of trying to deliver it because of AI, like on a Wednesday, I tell the team, use AI so that you're already in your Thursday mindset by Tuesday, and then spend the rest of that week doing what you need to do, which is adding the cream to it and making it the very, very best. So I would say we are saving time, literally from days to hours and sometimes minutes, but we're not passing that on to be faster. I mean, we can be to get to market, but we're using it to enable the team members. I think that's the encouragement, anyways, that I've been talking about.
I was just going to say we've been using it for creative concepting quite a bit in order to get so kind of what JP was saying in the sense that we're getting to the concepts faster, we're getting to the first drafts, I call it the shitty first draft, at a much faster rate, but it's allowing our team to really think through and spend more time on the harder problems. And that is giving our clients a much better output. And I think agencies, at least when we're talking, that's really where our time is focused, is really having more time for strategy and problem solving and exploring different options, as opposed to spending all that busy work up front doing the initial kind of grunt work.
So in our case, there's two particular applications. When I think about developers, I would say it depends who use it. If it's a senior developer is using Copilot, they will see a certain percentage of efficiency. I would say a 20% efficiency right now. If it's a junior developer, I would say it's actually counterproductive. They will take more time debugging than actually benefiting from using Copilot. And in our case, we use it for everything. We use it for sales. We use it for PM. The creation of tickets is super useful. In our UX research portions, we use it to create interview questions, to summarize our research findings. So there is a lot of efficiencies there, but not really on the development front yet.
I'll just add that I think in a lot of cases, in the case with Iamota, it's really informal, right? So it's scattered across. So some developers will use it, some won't. Some people that are, even the review process for team members will use it, some won't, right? So it's something that's not standardized yet, and it's in its infancy, and I would guess that very few agencies actually have a formal plan and process, and this is how we're going to do it and not do it. So it's amazing. Like JP, I think you're way ahead of the curve. Right.
And Pete, how long do you figure it would take to standardize across the industry? Just a gut check. What do you think it might be?
I have no idea.
Yeah. We got to go through the trough of disillusionment.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Totally. Thanks so much. Any other final additions on? Can we ask the next tough one?
Go for it, Rachel.
Okay. So this one, you folks have a tough job. If it wasn't so tough, not everyone would do it, right? So basically, I want to ask, what are some of the toughest decisions that you've had to make as an agency leader over the course of the time you've been in your agency?
Something that's been really tough is when you've got a really great person and they want to go, and that's what's in their best interest, but then also what's in the best interest of the company is keeping them there. So it's that balance between how much do you want to try to persuade versus just letting them go and spread their wings. So that is, I used to work for Jose. So this comment, I did not intend this comment to be like a passive-aggressive move. But it's actually something that's come up for us in the last few months a few times, where there have been really exceptional people that just decide that they've been with the company for over 5 years. They're wondering what their next move should be and what opportunities there are at an agency. And sometimes, especially at a smaller agency like ours, where we have 15 people, there's not a tremendous career ladder there, right? There might be one or two kind of title bumps, and then what? So people tend to top out. So kind of making that okay can be a hard thing. Having an open, honest conversation around, it's okay if you want to talk about leaving and what your next steps might be and how we can help support you in that. That can be really hard, because at the same time you're thinking man, don't go, because we're going to be screwed if you do.
Can I just jump in real quick? I'm only jumping in real quick here because we've got two team members here that one is year 6, one's year 7. So not speaking directly to them, but others as well. No, but I think that part of it is it's not just about the career ladders, the titles, and the positions. I think the hardest part in running an agency is the people. The best part of running an agency is the people as well, right? So it's always about trying to create new opportunities for learning, new opportunities for career growth, new opportunities for exposure to clients and interesting projects, and at the same time helping people make the right decisions as well. So thanks for letting me jump in.
On a similar theme around people, we've had a great run for like 6 years. We have very low churn, I think because of the investments like I mentioned earlier. But we had a large project cancel, and we had a large project get kicked out. We run on very low overhead because we're work from anywhere. But there's great things about not having a lot of overhead, which is you run lean. The problem is that when things get slow, there's nowhere to cut. You have to go, unfortunately, right to staffing. So one of the hardest things was for me recently was 7 years, 6 years, and 5 years. People that have been with us, and no matter how you try to slice it and dice it, you're putting basically a hand grenade into someone's home, right? And so it's really hard. And then as a leader, I don't know what I could have done to steer it better. Really, it was two weird things, but you can't help but think, did I fail you? I know they didn't really want to go anywhere. They're getting a little bit clamped, but it's tough. It's really tough, and it's been 2 months, and I know that they're very close to being employed. One is, and one's I think very close, but. It really bothers me because we have so little churn and whatnot. So that's been the hardest for sure.
Darian, you're kind of reaching.
I'm gonna give a shout out. Kathleen Reed is in the house because I just want to say, Kathleen, you like grew an agency, you built it, and I think we've had the conversation of as Vancouver folks, it's like, do you build a Toronto office or not, right? And it's that hard decision of like, do you choose to like have evenings and weekends or not? Do you choose to like try to expand? And if you don't do Toronto, can you actually make something of yourself and can you make something of your agency? But like Lindsay's here with Massive, like you pick up some international, national accounts and you've chosen to like expand in these regions and done an amazing job with it. And you look at what you're doing with e-commerce clients, like world famous brands coming to Vancouver, which is so cool. So it's that, I think the wrestle of saying, do you get big or do you choose to stay small? But you had your agency acquired, you did something incredible. Like, it's just so cool to know that Vancouver folks who choose to like double down on Vancouver can do something awesome with their agencies. So I just think the hard decision of like not falling prey to the need to go to the center of the universe in Toronto and kiss the Toronto ring. And, there's that like temptation. It does rain. And they've got the Raptors and it's just... But I don't know. I just think there's something special about Vancouver here and double downing here and seeing inspiration like that keeps me going.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. After COVID, a lot of people had their agencies fully remote, of course. And now it's coming back a little bit, and I'm sure you all have different balances. So I'd love to hear, what do you think is the optimal balance between, work from home, work in the office, and you're talking about staffing, and I find that a lot of the agencies that are headquartered here, even if they are fully remote, they're still hiring Vancouver remote people. Like, they're not always just going out like all over North America. So, what's the new perspective from the leaders here on, I'm sure a lot of people here who might be looking for jobs, they're always considering that. Can I work from home? Should I be going after an agency in Toronto where I can work from Vancouver? What's the new deal?
So we are one of those agencies that hire primarily in Vancouver. We do have some people in Canada, but we prefer to have it here. And the remote, this is a big discussion, but in our case, right now the policy is we are hybrid. You're not forced to come any day. Typically we have people coming on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But what I see, at least in terms of the type of work that we do, is in the ideation and the design phase, we encourage face-to-face interactions. I think that's where you get the most of the group environment. And then once a project is defined and we're in the implementation, it's fine if we do it remotely. But there's a lot of things that get lost in translation when you're not in person in doing the discoveries and doing the design phase.
Yeah, so iModa is, well, now we're 100% remote. but I was the one that was wrong pre-COVID and thinking we were not going to hire anybody outside of Vancouver. They all have to come to our fancy new office in Yaletown. That was our 5th office. We just spent all this money. We've got the polished white concrete floors and all the glass, and we got to write on the walls and use the Post-its, and we got to be together. And I was dead wrong. So we already had clients all over the U.S. and Canada, about 50-50 split back then as well. So going remote was easier for us. Of course, it was that we had to be much more intentional in terms of how to keep the team together and all those things. Now, fast forward to where we are today, we have, more than half the team is outside of the GVRD. So they're in Alberta, they're in Ontario. We have one in Quebec now. And it's amazing because we wouldn't have access to that talent. We've been doing amazing work. It's different work than you guys where you want to be together more often than not. But you have to be intentional in terms of when you want to be together. Go to a client site like we used to, get on a plane and do it. So we do that. Or we'll bring different people together at different times. So it can work, and only hire people that truly want to work in a remote environment as well. I think that's the key.
We're hybrid as well, but we do mostly hire from Vancouver. The pattern that we've seen, and I'm like you, I didn't think that that you could work from home and that would be effective. I was like, we are all. In fact, I was in an elevator with you the day that it was announced, and I walked out of that elevator, and you were like, "There's bad things are happening," and I'm like, you're paranoid. Anyway, so. Why was I wrong? Okay, so anyway, you fast forward and we found out our teams could work in a hybrid environment, and they could be quite productive. But what I have found is, at least for our specific agency, on the creative side and on the collaboration, nothing replaces the water cooler conversation, that tap on the shoulder. It's different when you're trying to, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong because JP, you guys are doing it. But for us, what we found is we haven't been able to do that as successfully. However, if your role or the project is more defined at a certain point, or you have something like we have a customer service person who manages our team once our websites are delivered. And she's incredible, and they are in Victoria, and they're doing a great job. And then we have one of our developers in the Philippines, and he's been with us for 7 years, and we love him, and he's incredible. So it can happen. It's just the right people and the work. And I think for us, our organization would have had to go through a lot of extra work in order to get that working the way our operations just work better when we're together as a team in person. So that's just how we flow.
So way before COVID, we had to quickly work from home because we built a new office, and they promised it would be ready on a certain date. And then my partner at the time also decided to give notice. And so December 24th, I went down to the new office that we're supposed to be moving into January 1st. You couldn't move in. It was still 3 months away from like being finished. So that was our first time working from home because we moved everything in and put it against the corner and everyone had to work from home. So we had a dress rehearsal for 3 months before we moved in. And so when COVID hit, I remember actually, because we had a continuity plan that we have to keep in check for a lot of these enterprise clients. And I'd just gotten back from a conference in New Orleans, and everyone was wearing masks. And I said to my partner at the time, "We better dust off that continuity plan that we have, because I think it's coming. I think we're going to need it." So when COVID hit, it was pretty quick, but. Cut to 2 years later or whatever, in the second summer of COVID, we were out walking our dogs with my partner, Ailish, and her husband, and there was this pause, and they both looked at me and my wife and were like, "I have a question for you. We want to move to Naramata and build a home in Naramata." And I just remember, like, the world started to turn, because I knew that I don't know how I was going to say no. And I knew that as soon as the yes, that there was no control over who could go and who couldn't, because if a partner can go, how can you say no to his team members? So that happened, and I was pretty messed up about it for a long time. I didn't want it. I joined an agency because I liked the water cooler, I liked the impromptu stuff. But then I was at 56, and I realized that after COVID, when we had only 3 of us in the office, if I tried to bring everyone back, I'd lose I'll lose at least a third of the staff. And I thought, I weighed my options and went, I don't feel like rebuilding that over again, so I'll go for it. And I was at a conference, and I had been, back and forth on it, and always little comments, I guess, on the calls. And I was at a conference when I heard this other owner say, you got to commit one or the other. If you try to do both, they're going to create this dual culture. So I committed. And we're all in, and we call it work from anywhere as opposed to remote. I think it makes more sense. It also doesn't sound so isolating. And I mean, I asked an intern who had been with us for 4 or 5 weeks, Theo. I said, I guess, what do you think? Do we have culture here? Can you tell through a Zoom monitor? He goes, he just graduated from design school, and he's like, the culture here is fucking banging, man. It's awesome. And I was like, okay, we're all in to work from anywhere.
Excellent. Those are some great answers, everybody. Okay, so I want to turn this more into the self-reflective process, right? Everybody's got their own journey of how they got here. I know I have mine, and it's not always an easy one. But I want you to talk about a little bit about the human side. When you think about the things that kind of shape you, who you are as a human, and the things that you've learned about yourself over the time that you've been running the agency or being part of leadership, like, what have you learned about yourself? What are the good things? What are the bad things?
Was that one of the questions you sent us?
Yeah, I was like, that was not on the list.
Not on the list, right?
I tailored it.
I have a very short answer. I'm way more resilient than I ever thought I would be, because this shit's hard. I didn't think I was. I was an art school student, and I remember my grandfather not wanting to hire me at the Parks Board because of my little soft hands, and I'm a empathy, and I tear up a lot. And I've been through 15 years. I've been through the shit, and I never thought I would be, and I'm more resilient than I thought. So there you go.
For me, so my background is in project management. So I've been a project manager for 20 years before I joined Steam Clock, starting first in their sales and then eventually making my way now to managing director. And so I think as a part of that journey, I learned what it was like to be on the receiving end of really shitty projects. This isn't just when I worked with you, Jose. This is throughout my career. And so I think I developed like a really acute sense of what it's like when you're on the other side of that and you're bringing the projects in or you're vetting the clients and what that's like what the lived experience is when you have a super stressful project that you can't stop thinking about over the weekend and you're worried that things are just totally going off the rails. So I think that really helps to inform how I lead at Steam Clock, making sure that when we're making decisions about who we're bringing on in terms of clients, that it's really thoughtful and deliberate. And also with the view that I saw a quote the other day, I forget who said this, but like, you define your agency one client at a time. And that really resonated with me. And I think if it wasn't for that kind of operational background of leading the projects, it would have been easy to dismiss when people are, stressing out about their day-to-day.
I was totally afraid of this question, but now I love it. Because, there's about a dozen people that I ran into tonight, former colleagues, former boss, former clients, former partners. And I think the coolest thing about running an agency for 20 years is reflecting back on all the times that we helped each other. Right? We learned a ton. Like when we were in our 20s and early 30s, we didn't know anything, really. We thought we knew everything, but I'm an old guy now, right? And it's like we still don't know everything, and we're learning every day, right? So all of you that I've worked with in the past or we partner with, thank you, because you've taught me a lot. Having lunch with Mark, you taught me a lot. It's amazing. So for me, the reflection is that you're not doing this on your own. And it's not just the community here, it's our team members as well today. Zara taught me something today, every day I learned something from our team members. I learned something from Siobhan this morning, and we hope that it is a quid pro quo. We hope that we're teaching each other, we're helping each other truly grow. And frankly, that's what keeps me going in the agency space as well. I think the last thing I'll say is people are like, you're still doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I love it. And it is because of these things. It's because of all of you guys. It's awesome.
That's great.
Can I add something?
Oh, yes, right.
So for me, I never thought that you typically think that when you're reaching the top position, you're going to be just dictating the policy or determining what's going to happen next, etc. But I really see the structure today as an inverted pyramid. So for me, my team and my clients are equally important. So I have to make decisions based on both groups. And I just think that when we're defining policy and when we're doing anything that has an impact for the team, I just think, what would I do if I were them? And that really carries a lot of responsibility. So just my team are my clients. That's one thing that I've learned in 5 years now. So.
Mm-hmm. How many people here work with clients? Put up your hand. Okay, how many people here have worked with really difficult clients? Yeah, so as project managers, I mean, when we're working with clients there's the odd client, they're just never happy, right? They're always trying to get something for free. They're never giving you compliments. You all know them, right? And I don't know, maybe the percentage of those clients is pretty small these days, maybe 5% or 10%, but we all have had them. And, sometimes the decision on how to deal with those clients really comes up to these people here. And they have to make sometimes a tough call. So I'm wondering, have you had any really difficult clients lately where you have gone one way or another on them? Because there's always, if you fire a client, there's always risk, of firing a client. But there's risk with keeping that client. So how do you walk that line?
I got a short answer. It hasn't been recent, but it was a client that started with the A and ended with the other thing. And yeah, thank you. It was an easy decision. Protect the team, like servant leadership, right? So fired the client immediately. Team was happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a pretty strict policy on that too. It's unless it's coming down to the difference between laying some people off versus keeping them, and we'll typically bring our team into those conversations. We're that transparent. But for the most part, we even at one point started implementing a bad fit buyout bank account, and a percentage of all of our profits and money that came in would go into that, so that if we got those not so nice, very difficult accounts, we would be able, Renee or myself would be able to go hop on a call with that client and say, listen, we've got to talk through this. This isn't working. And if you need us to walk away, we will pay you all of your money back. Or these things need to change. And that's worked quite well for us over the years.
Just last year, we had to fire a client, and it was an easy decision. It was not a hard one. So my partner, Ted, who's also our chief delivery officer, who's unrattleable, and there was a client meeting that he was furious. Came back in and he said, "We've got to fire these." And he's never said anything like it. He's like, even tempered. And the leadership, and I just said, okay, we'll do it then. Let's do it. I don't need to talk about it. Ted, you've never voiced anything like this. Trust you impeccably. You're always about protecting the team. So the next day, fired the client, said that they didn't hold the same values that we did, and told them the reasons why. And at our stand-up that morning, we told the team that we did it all within 12 hours, I guess, that it happened. And we told them that, the values are important here. And if we didn't, then why would we have values? And so it was not a hard decision. And I know it can be a financially hard decision, depending on how they are. Now, they weren't a big client at the time, as far as finances go, but it was the I don't really care that I'm telling you this, but it's true. He's an asshole, and it trickled. And it's a trickle-down effect. He wasn't the actual client, but his team, and Mark knows this, dealt with it. So it was not a hard. We made it really quickly.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that song, "I'm an Asshole."
.com.
Excellent.
I think we learned this the hard way. At the beginning, we struggled saying no, and now we have a bunch of gates that allow us to qualify customers before they even reach the possibility of of being a customer. Fortunately, Nick suffered a bunch of them in the past. And there's another thing that we do, and this is somewhat related to the mental health issue, but we're very intentional with our cash position. So we are not making decisions based on money. We're making decisions based on the interest of our team, and eventually, if it's relevant or not for a company to be working on a project like that. Eventually, bad clients will be bad for profit and bad for the team. So you need to fire them as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant answers. Thank you so much. Okay, so this kind of sits within the realm of the market. We talked a little bit about this, but I'm just going to dig into this question a little bit deeper. So a couple different organizations put out some stats recently. I think one was Bureau of Digital and Promethean Research. And they predicted that over the last 2 years, 50% of North American shops lost about half their business, and many are still in the recuperation phase, and cash is definitely one of the biggest challenges. About 30% of those shops are holding steady. So what have you folks done to ride out the uncertainty of the market over the last 2 years, and how optimistic are you for next year?
So for us, I think this really relates to the previous answers, being really disciplined about having great clients that you want to build a relationship with over years. So we're in a really fortunate position where many of our clients have been with us for, in some cases, 7 years. And that makes a really nice cushion for when things get rough and there are fewer, newer, bigger projects coming in. So that's a big part of it for us. And then again, yeah, just being really disciplined about the new projects coming in, making sure that there are things that are going to keep the team engaged and, you know, our finances healthy. But that's the big part of it for us, is that cushion.
We had this challenge in the last couple of months. As I mentioned, there was layoffs, so that the net result of it. I had been wanting to do marketing more formally, and for a long time, but we did 15 years on referrals and did really well. And then, of course, all the consultants, agency consultants, and all the blogs are saying you can't do that. It's not about, you know, you got to be diversified. And I was like, sure, but it's easy. It's coming in, and it doesn't cost anything for BD, whatever. We had made the decision to do more formal marketing, and then when this hit this last few months, we're now doing lead magnets, paid advertising against it. We have got landing pages and paid search. We are doing selective outbound that I'm using to find out what their tech stacks are, and then targeting those that are already using like Contentful or Sanity. So we're doing a huge multi-prong approach, and I know that we have got a pipeline it's good for Q3 and 4. That was already, and we're just trying to get there because of that big gap that we had. But I know on the other side of this, the things that we're doing as far as this really, and we've hired your team to give us an audit on the remaining pieces that we may not be doing for marketing. That was my big learning thing, which is you can do marketing for a product studio. I'm seeing qualified leads come in from a landing page, and a little flag comes up every time, and there's a big holler. So, you know, it's doable, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, I'll just echo a couple of things. Yeah, long-term clients, number one, right? Having that monthly recurring revenue is related to that. And then having a strong balance sheet. We were lucky that we still grew last year, and we got off to a good start this year. But deal flow is definitely ebbing and flowing, you know, and it's and so that's going to continue to happen, I think, this year. So we're kind of fighting for every large significant deal, and we've got stiff competition, and we just got to be out there and just putting that much more into it in terms of the solving a lot of the stuff up front to prove, right, that we can do it, our team can do it. So I guess my message is that you got to continue to invest a little bit more, or a lot more, to get the deals today than say we had to a couple of years ago. So that's something else.
That's validating. Yeah, it's very validating. It's very true. For us, we diversified quite a bit. So for many, many years, Massive was pretty much just a brand identity, foundational brand development, and a web design and development shop. In 2021, we started leaning into marketing strategy and campaigns to get more retainer work on. That saved our butts for we grew that retainer side of the business, while some other sides of the business kind of got slow slower. And ironically enough, we're starting to see the shift back to brand identity and web and the marketing side wane a little bit. But the beautiful side of that is that we've leanified. We hire people that are, we call them T-shaped. They come in, they learn all these different aspects of the business, and they think really holistically about all those different aspects. And that has made us like an elite team of ninjas. Like, we're small, but we're mighty. That is hard to scale. But for now, it's working really well, and it's helping us survive through these hard times. And then we're working on longer term strategies, which I can't talk about today. But as soon as we start seeing the market go in a certain direction, we're ready. We're ready, and we're excited for that. And in the meantime, we're like huskies at the gate, just waiting.
Just to add on the two things that you were saying, we also noticed the power of partnerships. And you were referring to the power of the community, but for us, I mean, we have a partnership with Steam Clock, we have a partnership with Misty West. So agencies that do work that we don't do, there is a lot of power there, because you were right by saying that there's the big companies coming in. They have 300, 400 staff, difficult to compete in terms of the long-term relationship that they have with certain customers. But we know that if we get the chance to compete one-to-one, we can do a better job. And that typically, when you have a series of agencies or a series of partners that are working together, you get way more opportunities to do fantastic work. So that's another thing that we've noticed recently.
Quick follow-up for you all. So there's, I think, an estimate that enterprise-sized clients are taking about a year to close, and about 6 months for like small to mid-sized businesses. Yes, no? Seeing that? Yes.
Yes.
Across the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 months, I would say yes,
Yeah.
but 9 months on the high side, 3 months on the quick side.
Okay. Consistent.
make us all cry.
I'm sorry. I feel like,
Unless their technology license is going to expire in maybe
Yeah.
4 months.
did anyone have, what was that Canadian grant that was like, hey, convert your business and get it online, the digital, and then they were like, that doesn't exist anymore. It's like, bye. Yeah, okay, so I have a question, and then Mark has a good question that isn't.
Last two questions.
Last two questions. Okay, so we all know how wonderful project managers are. Can I get a little like hand up for all of the PMs in the room? Like, who's our PMs? These folks bust their asses, right? They're leading the team. They're supporting all of these difficult conversations, wading through murky environments around like economies that we don't understand, that are just doing things that are inconsistent and changing day by day. So we have wonderful project managers. They often are the ones that have to stay on, to the very end, to the bitter end, right? And they carry a lot. I'm learning this. They carry a lot of trauma, because oftentimes there's work-related trauma or even just project-related trauma. And I'm curious, because we all know wonderful PMs. I'm wondering if you folks have a great story about a great project manager, because maybe they just need to hear how great they are.
I have one about Nick. So we had a client on the health care space. I'm not going to name the client, but anyways, Nick, the team, did everything they could to satisfy that client. We went like above and beyond. And they were barely involved in the project. Time come to deliver, and they basically rechanged the whole thing, modified the scope, etc. It was a nightmare. Not only that, but they sue us. So at the exactly, good thing that I'm a lawyer. We won, by the way. That's a good story. Nothing happened. But the best thing about it was, I mean, Nick and the team again did a fantastic job. But when you're in an arbitration process, you have to literally write every single detail about the project. So I remember telling Nick, this guy just sued us. What do we do? I need the description of all these things. And Nick wrote I would say a 15-page painful memorandum of everything that he experienced in the project. And thanks to that, we just, like our lawyers make it a bit more legally, but that was enough to deter the customer for pursuing the lawsuit, and literally Nick saved our ass that day.
Yeah, Nick. Hey, Nick. Nick, any chance you're going to turn that into a book? You want to turn that into a book?
Yeah, why not? He could, easily. I have it.
That's an awesome story. Mine isn't about a specific project or a situation like that, but the value that project managers can contribute not only as project managers, but to the overall growth and success of the agency. So I actually happen to have two people here today, Siobhan and Zara, who started as project managers with us and have truly grown our strategy and solutions team, which is invaluable. Taking that knowledge that they have and then playing that role and really helping us expand our business. So huge opportunities for project managers to help, depending on the tech platform and where your area of focus is, but it's been amazing in terms of helping truly grow our business. So thank you.
I have a story from the perspective of being a project manager, not on that project. This is something that happened way before I was at TTT, but for any project managers that are out there who are feeling the stress of managing something that they feel is like really particularly difficult, don't discount that stress on you. There was a project that I had very early in my career that really, it felt like it broke me. Like there was really a lot of I think psychological damage that it did that I carried forward for a long time, and I had developed a lot of bad habits around that, and it changed how I saw myself as a project manager. So just the message is that's real, whatever you're feeling, and don't discount that or just try to wave it off like this is regular workplace stress. Go and spend some time on dealing with that. Get help, talk to people, whatever you need to do, because it's absolutely real.
Great, thanks so much. Thanks so much, everyone. So we're going to open it up to audience questions now and do a period of about 20 minutes or so. So we don't, unfortunately, have a wireless mic, but I think if you can speak up, that'd be great. So just raise your hand if you have a question, and I'll try to point you out. Back there.
My name is Jake, pleasure to you. I was just curious if you have any opinions on how the generation gap can be more collaborative. I know that that's going to be an issue with Gen Z entering the workplace soon, and everyone's different. There's some people in the boomer generation that are obviously younger-minded and sort of adopting software, and there's people that are sort of stuck in their ways in the millennial generation as well. But how can millennials work better with boomers, and how can boomers work better with millennials?
How many boomers here?
No offense, by the way.
No offense taken. I've had a beef with this concept since people were bitching about millennials, because I never saw it in our agency. A lot of other owners and agencies were like, I don't know how to work with these new millennials that are coming in, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we're facing the same thing with the Gen Z that are coming in, like Theo, our youngest, and Isaiah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing a generational thing. And I'm actually getting really pissed off on TikTok and on Instagram, all the Gen Xers that are doing what the boomers did to us, which is talking about their Gen X is the tough generation and we're latchkey kids. It's like, shut the F up. Just look at them as a group of people that need to do things, be empathetic, and create a place with high trust, and you'll be generationless. And I think is the key. And just don't talk about it. You're just people. There's generalizations with in marketing too. Gen Z, Gen X. It's a lot of crap. You can't just lump them all in. There's so many variants from that, and I think it's a lot. I think it's kind of synthetic and it's artificially amplified by the media and others. Myself.
Another question, anyone?
I'll add just to, it's not directly answering that question because I completely agree with everything JP just said. But it's it's about the idea, when our team is all different ages, and like JP, we have an incredible culture. We're really close knit. Everyone gets along. They're super collaborative. So I would bring it back to anyone looking for a company to work for. Look for the value alignment. Find out what the values are. See if that speaks to you, and love your craft. if you love the craft, other people in the business are going to respect you too. And that's how you earn that trust, is by being there for your comrades. And generation doesn't, I mean, age is, what is age? What's that?
What is it?
So I came from agencies that had heavy presence with client services. And in digital, we were the redheaded stepchild, no offense to redheaded stepchildren, but it was always the client services team selling in stuff that couldn't be done digitally. And then we had to try to make it work or tell them, you got to go back and tell them it's not a thing. So when I created PowerShifter, I said, we're going to just flip the script. We're going to do something what we call direct to expert. And even when we're pitching, we've got the leadership team is not the pitch team. The pitch team is sometimes leadership, mostly SMEs. SMEs also, all of the frontline staff from intermediate, anybody that can estimate or they learn to estimate, because they're the ones putting the estimates together for the proposals. It's all under senior leadership's purview. But when we're working now with our clients in this direct to expert way, it becomes ageless as well. It just becomes a group of people working together. And I think that if you do a little bit more, I don't know, not sequestering people or channeling people and giving everybody the place in which they can speak. Like, I keep coming back to Theo. Theo was an intern, and he was still an intern, and he pitched to the CMO of this company that we were doing work of out of Atlanta to 404 pages. He was still in school. And at PowerShifter, that's just a thing. And so I think that's another way, is give everybody their piece of the pie, give them a voice, and make them feel engaged, and they've got something. And that's another way I think you just get rid of this generational thing, and just don't worry about egos. It's like, and in the pitches, people are super impressed that we've got the people that are going to be doing the work, telling them how it's going to get done.
Any other questions from the audience? Over there.
Hey guys, Sean from Control Pepper here. I appreciate you being here and sharing all your info, so that's great. As an agency owner, I'm curious if you guys could share any insights on the skills or traits that you look for in an operator.
Could you clarify operator by definition?
You're number two, like if you're out there growing the business.
Director of Operations.
Running the business, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Frugal. Good frugal operations person is good.
I'll start by saying it totally depends on the size, right? We've gone through different iterations where we've tried to bring in somebody for director of operations. We were frankly too small at the time. Do I have the exact number headcount? No. But I think that it's the size is really key. I think that you have to be really focused on what the challenges are that you want solved. What are those problems? Or are we just chasing symptoms and then trying to layer that up into the skills that you're really looking for from that person? A lot of the time, one of the biggest challenges we all face, we all know it, is resourcing, right? How do we get the right people moving on the right work at the right time? How do we bring in the right work for the right people at the right time? Team composition, all of those things, right? So I don't think from my perspective anyway, it's not an easy answer. It's really dependent on the core problems that you're trying to solve. So much of that ops side of the equation is owned by the CEO for an agency up to 25 people anyway, and then beyond that, then I think you can start to kind of crack that open. Anyway, see some heads nodding. Anybody want to jump in? Want to jump in? Want to jump in?
So I just echoing what they say, but I would just add one more thing. You need someone that truly exemplifies your values. If they're not aligned with, we've been working a lot on refining our values in the last 2 years. And what we see the most is the people that end up staying the longer, the people that end up doing the best work is the ones that are closely aligned with our values. So if you don't have a COO that is going to be the boss of everybody and is not exemplifying the values at its best, then you're making the wrong call.
Other questions?
I know, I'm sure a lot of you, that maybe on the marketing side, maybe not so much with this, but everyone looks at that going, hey, I've been doing this so well for my clients, I want to do it for myself, and I want to productize something. Any good stories of failures or successes from that?
For productizing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah. But I don't know. Well, we had a client that once came to us. They were in the real estate industry. It was two ambitious real estate agents. They were really successful, like top 1% in Vancouver. And they were like, we want the Airbnb of for real estate agents. And I think their budget was $70,000. Was that brand and web at the time, or was that like just the web? Okay. Anyway, it was. So we took them on, and we had this like rock star developer who really was like a designer and a developer. I'd never met anybody that was as talented as him in theory in all of these different areas. So he was a really good designer, back end developer, front end developer. He could do it all. Yeah. We lost $500,000.
Oh, ouch.
That, no joke, we were tied to that platform. The client kept asking for more, and this developer, we kept looking at him, and I was like, in all my years, and I am not a developer anymore, I wasn't checking his code, and he just kept promising and saying, oh yeah, that's easy now. Oh yeah, that's easy. But when he meant easy, he didn't mean 2 hours of work. He meant, yeah, that's easy. I can go away in a back corner and make that in 6 weeks, that one feature. And so, I mean, that was, I think, the hardest learning lesson that Renee and I ever had to endure, and it was years and years and years of losses to make up for that. And we are still sunsetting that goddamn project. It's like,
Ouch.
I hope there's no realtors in the room.
Put a project manager on that sucker.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably the project manager or something.
So product is kind of the story of Steam Clock. It was originally founded by two people who wanted to make products. They just wanted to make cool apps, and they realized very early on that that did not pay the bills. So eventually they got into client services, got really good at that, but that was always really at the heart of it. And that's been kind of, I think, the fundamental tension over 14 years is how do we resource an internal product development effort properly so that we're not getting people pulled off constantly for client work that's a higher priority because that's where we make the money from. So eventually, and kind of recently, the conclusion was that we need to spin off a separate company. Like if that's the focus, we can't do this within the confines of a client services company. It needs to be its own thing with its own funding, with its own its own people, really, although we have a good relationship now with that company, like we're treating them like a client. But there was no solution to that, to do it in-house, all as one thing. I think a key there is, if you are trying to do that, you need to be ultra-disciplined, and you need to make sure that people are dedicated to that effort and nothing but. And it's kind of the same thing as the conversation around taking bad clients and like when do you bend the rules? Like you can literally never bend the rules if you're wanting to develop a product in-house, at least in our experience.
A few more questions and we'll wrap it up. Right there.
What do you guys think to RFPs?
It was a long one anyways.
RFPs. Thumbs down. Thumbs
What was the
up?
question?
Yeah. What do we think of RFPs? No one here likes RFPs, right?
No, but they are, no matter what, I'm sorry, but the books about that you don't have to do RFPs, it's bullshit. They're a thing. And the more you make your way up the value chain and the bigger the organizations, the more it's a thing. So it's really great that these agency consultants are espousing this on their blogs and in their books, but be wary. We may hate them. They're like being dragged through broken glass sometimes, but they're a thing you have to do. But I'm building a GPT to solve it.
Well, we got.
I don't want to. Okay.
So we finally think we got this one somewhat sorted out. We hate RFPs like everybody else, but we hired a consultant that is an expert on it. They do 95% of the work. We provide certain information. They're outstanding at it, and we've been getting some success out of it. So there is a formula, but I think doing it with your internal sales team or your internal key account team or your internal marketing team is a mistake.
I like that. You contract the RFP process.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. I was just going to say they exist. We don't do very many in the e-commerce space. Interestingly enough, we do some, but they have to be very clear, and we have to be close to the solutioning process or the discussions up front if we're going to be able to respond to it. If it was strictly from procurement, you'd have to hire a consultant to do it, right? If procurement's the buyer, we're not the seller, and so that's my answer.
I would say it depends on the deal size. We also don't like it. We're very lucky to have someone in-house, Renee, that is incredible at them. And so we have won quite a few deals through RFPs, but we don't like them. But JP's right. Once you get into the $100,000 plus and you're dealing with anything government or education or anything like that, or any procurement, you have to do it.
Yeah. There's a couple questions over here.
My question is on the rate of change. I feel like
Hi, Alina.
I feel like since 2021, things have gone at whiplash level, like GA4, tracking, privacy issues, and you're delivering and you're pitching and you're managing a team. And like, how are you as agencies staying on top of how fast things are changing?
You just have to.
Yeah.
No choice.
You got to keep moving forward, don't you?
There's an e-newsletter by Connor here called The Brief. Yeah, The Brief's really good. There's another guy, Todd Maffin from Nanaimo. I don't know what his is called. Today in Digital. He has like a daily thing. He's got a podcast that's daily. And it's funny. It's two British Columbians that are just awesome and super generous of sharing. And then actually, again, you mentioned this earlier, but like having staff that are around that are smart and inquisitive. And right now there's a program called Grow Class and the CM designation that's covered by the feds. So both those programs, anyone can take them right now through Upskill Canada. So both courses are typically $4,000 to $8,000, and the federal government's paying for everyone to take it. So we're encouraging our staff to take it so they can kind of go there and bring back that knowledge to the team.
Just one quick one, I think, for owners and for leadership in agencies, if you're in digital product or any kind of digital, I would say that joining an association like the Bureau of Digital, because the knowledge sharing that happens in those Slack groups is phenomenal. So you can people are asking what tool sets are used, or hey, I need a resourcing sheet, and someone will put in an actual resourcing spreadsheet that their company spent a lot of time on. So, or sticking around with organizations that peers are, you learn a lot from your peers that are running fast.
Question over here.
So we have like an agency that has somewhat of a traditional model, like an account planner who manages all the accounts, and we've been experimenting with JP, like we said, like direct to expert. So we've been experimenting with like a couple of our higher value clients, having them go directly to, like bypassing the account manager, so to speak, go directly to the content person or go directly to wherever they need to on the team. And that is like really increased like client satisfaction. It's decreased the time from incident to like resolution. Like it's been amazing. We are just experimenting this with one client, and there could be lots of like downfalls to it around the client has like too many contacts and our heads of contents and our house people may have problems. Anyway, so I'm wondering if you can explain more about what your direct to experts comment was about, and is that about clients going to individual people, or do you think that one throat to throttle at an agency like an account planner is the way to go?
No, we have a one client service as he likes to do. He thinks more strategically about the accounts, and he says he's there to provide cover fire if needed, but ultimately he's taking a step back and he's looking at the account holistically. We have Slack channels. We have an internal Slack channel for a client, and we have an external and client Slack channels. And the team members interact directly with clients, and what you'll find is that animosity that can be at a lot of agency relationships, because there's an invisible team behind the curtain that are faceless. And when we introduce and they're working together, co-creating, You don't get crazy requests. You don't get after-hour requests. You don't get Friday requests. They're treated like like team members. And I think a lot of agency owners think, how could you expose the team? And it's not a thing. It is not a thing. And we got to hire people that are ready to do it, and it's part of our hiring process. But you just start to work together. You may get the occasional thing, and that's when we fired.
That was my client first, by the way.
That's why I'm looking at.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at Mark.
I took the heat for a while. Yeah. Yeah, I will say, I work as a project manager managing that direct-to-expert model. And, I kind of work as that planner to arrange everything. And I think the most important thing is that your expert needs to understand scope control. Don't agree to extra stuff without talking to the team. Once you have that under control, it's wonderful. Just like let them go. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's give them a big round of applause. Yeah.